I'm kind of like an amateur. It's kind of set up ghetto style, but
Take a picture of our knees.
no, actually it's focused here.
Coming to you live on the Government Access Channel from Mario Bagnoni Chambers in beautiful downtown Erie. It's the Taxpayers Hotline Show with your host, John Steiner.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Government Access Channel here at beautiful Mario Bagnoni Chambers in City Hall. I got a special guest with me this afternoon. Kaz is taking his act on the road this week.
Where'd Kaz go?
Kaz is visiting the fam. I don't know if he's in Minnesota, Mississippi. It's one of them long states that begin with an M. But he is on tour, and I brought County Councilman Carl Anderson on the show with me today. And,
I don't know if I'm a special guest, just a guest.
You're special. I mean, anybody that comes here and takes time out of their day to talk government and politics and community, you're a special guest.
Good to be here with you today, John.
Yeah, and we're also going live on Facebook today. We're going to give that a shot too. So not that that matters to most, but give us a call. The number is 870-1284. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. Carl, I know, has been a busy man over at the county, and well, that did not take long. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good, how are you?
Question for your county guy there. I just sent in my registration, and the Erie County fee was on there, $5. But I saw with the 2-year renewal, you only got charged $5, not $10. I wanted to make sure that was an actual thing, or was that a print mistake?
Well, I would say for the time being, take advantage of it. What's in printing, they can't change on you.
Okay,
if you decide to do the 2 years,
I just
but
make sure I ain't going to get a $5 bill in the mail next year or something.
no, I don't think they can do that.
But it was $5 fee per year, but then the state, this year I could renew my registration for 2 years, and then it went, instead of being $84 for 2 years, it was $79 for 2 years.
Right, I don't think they calculated that.
Okay.
That additional fee in there. But now that we're talking about it, somebody may figure it out for next year. So if you can take advantage of it, I would.
I saved myself $5.
Yeah.
So are you telling me the county's got it screwed up?
Well, it's a state. The
Oh, the
state.
state, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right, thanks. For anything else you want to talk about?
No, things going pretty good down here on the West Bayfront. So other than that, you guys take care.
Yeah, you got a lot of exciting things going on down there. So, that part of town they're getting a lot of attention. And
Yeah, every Wednesday there at the Bayview, I live right across from Bayview Park now. They got Bay Fit, where they have, 1 week it was soccer players, last week it was the Erie basketball team was down here, and then they got the bookmobile comes down every Wednesday afternoon now, plus they got the daily activities. We have the pool over there, and there's always something going on over there, and then it got your Little League baseball and that, so.
well, Candace Battles, she does a lot with the Lower West Bayfront group down there, and they're very active. And that's the type of thing that each community in our city needs. People and groups working together to make things happen, to turn the ship around as far as community involvement and activities go. But thanks for calling in.
Okay, you guys take care.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you. John, we had an exciting morning in the city today.
We did.
I mean, every day is exciting in Erie.
Well, yeah, kind of.
Today's a little more exciting.
Today's extra exciting?
Extra exciting.
What extra
had an
exciting?
Opportunity to be at the announcement of CMI Energy on the Bayfront. It's an amazing process that they went through to bring the largest weighing cargo to ever come into Erie's port in our history. 13.1 million pounds.
Wow.
And they use that to recycle energy and then send that back out. And the logistics that have gone into making this happen, the shipment came in from Asia through the Panama Canal, up the East Coast, the Atlantic Ocean to the St. Lawrence Seaway and down the lakes. And then it's going to get on trucks and make its way from the Bayfront to Newcastle.
Oh, really?
And Department of Transportation, the logistics that they've had to go through to ensure the weight load, the weight-bearing loads of the bridges and
Right.
certify things. I mean, it's an amazing process of collaboration.
Is the ship down there now, or?
Yeah, they're actually unloading the ship all
really?
day today.
I did see something, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and, but, I mean, that's the exciting news. But besides that, I had an opportunity to see the mayor and his staff there, and they should certainly be congratulated. The county executive and Brenda Sandberg from the Port Authority played a major role
Yeah.
in making this happen. But it was a absolutely perfect, marketable day for the mayor's office on the lake shore of Erie today. The weather is absolutely beautiful, and I had mentioned to the mayor that this is what you should be marketing, Erie weather, and kidded with the IT guy and said, we have to get the weather on social media to show how beautiful of a day like today is in Erie. Mm-hmm. And he said, we got to figure that out. So maybe we could put a big sun across the screen, because that's what it was in Erie this morning.
I mean, people, a lot of people complain about the winter time, and it is tough. I mean, this year especially was tough. But, we have the 4 seasons here, and there's a lot of people like the 4 seasons. And in the summertime, it's not too hot, 90% of the time, and the humidity is livable. I mean, Erie just gets a bad rap for all the snow and, bad weather. But, technically, the city itself doesn't get a lot of snow. I mean, it's mostly 90 down.
We don't get as much snow as they do in Edinburgh.
No, that's for sure. But, it's good to hear.
We get credited for it.
It's good to hear that CMI?
CMI.
It's good to hear that they're working with the Port Authority, because that's the type of, when we started that logistics hub or something back in the day with, was that Develop Erie or whatever like that? I mean, that's the type of thing that we could have really used. But unfortunately, that fell by the wayside.
But they had, they have other facilities around the country. They have other ports that they could come into. One of the other options was to come in through Ashtabula.
Right.
The officials told me. But they chose Erie to ensure this is their headquarters. And they have 100 employees. I was amazed to find out as many as 100, and 80% of those people are engineers.
Where's that located
That come
at?
through mostly come through the School of Engineering at Barron.
Oh, really?
And their headquarters are at Knowledge Park.
Oh, Knowledge Park, okay.
But I mean, they have some exciting things happening up there, and hats off to them today. They really made some things happen.
I mean, obviously, we had a caller here that was calling about the Port of Ashtabula, how that's growing and stuff like that, which is good, because they're not in Pennsylvania, but it's a regional thing. But, that's the type of stuff that we need to do.
No question about
I mean,
it.
the city and the Port Authority and the state, well, obviously the state had to be involved, for the clearances and everything. I mean, people don't realize what an undertaking that is in order to make something like that happen. So, I mean, that's a really good thing. I saw, the city has a Facebook page site now, and they were posting some stuff about that and I guess it was a joint collaboration between, who was that down there?
It was the Port Authority played a large role in helping get all of the paperwork done, to get them through. I mean, it's mind-boggling to think the logistics of what they had to go through to get through the Panama Canal, the St. Lawrence Seaway, coming all the way from Asia, as I said earlier.
I mean, that's the long way.
It's an amazing journey.
You got that right.
To bring this 13 million pounds shipment into our port. And then, of course, having the permitting, the docking fees, all of that coming back to Erie.
Right.
And the folks from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation were there today. They had representatives there. One of the things that they had mentioned was logistically, to try and put something like this together, it usually takes about a year to get all the permitting, to certify the bridges, that they can handle the capacity, the distance, between bridges and the underpasses
Right.
and construction, rerouting, and normally takes about a year process.
Yeah,
Took them
right.
5 months. They put it together in 5
Well, I
months.
mean-
So they really, hats off to all of them. Julie Slomsky from the governor's office, played a pivotal role in that as well. Hats off to her. I mean, really a collaborative effort across the board.
That's what I think they were talking about Don John being involved in something with that today, and there was somebody else down there and it was good to see that the local businesses would benefit and the city and the business. I mean, it's a win-win-win proposition.
about it.
I'm surprised. I mean, is the channel, I didn't know we could get cargo that, I mean, isn't the channel, like, before we couldn't bring stuff in there because of the
Right.
depth of the channel? But that,
They have to dredge it out from time to time, and of course, it's not, it's dredged
yeah,
so they can get that kind of low. But I mean, there was questions as to, that was part of the process and part of the risk, that there was questions as to whether a ship of that size with that weight capacity on it could
Right.
actually get into the bay. And they were successfully able to do it.
well, that's great that it was successful, because now whether it's that company, the shipping company that did it, or, their friends or everybody else, and, the thing is we need to get that on media, and I think the city did on their city webpage, with the news cameras down there and everything today, I'm sure.
And I should send a shout out to some of my colleagues on city council, because city council was also well represented there.
Who was down there?
Liz Allen, Kathy Schaff, and
Okay.
Bob Mursky
Okay,
were also in attendance, and and have played a role in helping make this happen. So, as you've said many times, as I've said many times, collaboration
Yeah.
is a key word. We need to continue to work together. I think people understand in our community that we're either going to sink together or we're going to swim together, and it's much better swimming.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that, we were out doing door-to-door prior to the election was everybody wants us to start working together. They want the city, the county, and most importantly, we got to bring the school district in on everything we do.
No question.
I-
No matter what we do, and there's some great things happening, but if we don't stabilize the school district, it's not going to work. It's not going to bring people here to live and invest in the community for a long term.
Kaz doesn't, he and I were talking about this a little bit, and, I thought that education is the number one reason why people would leave the city to go to Mill Creek or Fairview or, another school district. He disagreed. I can't remember exactly what the reason was, but, our school, nobody is going to move to a city and relocate or invest money in something that could be perceived as a poor school district. With the restructuring and all the drama going on over there. I think that Erie High it's a learning curve. You can't take everybody from around the city, throw them into a building and expect everything to just work. But I think that, the school board and the teachers and the administrators are all working together. And I didn't really hear any drama over there. Any major problems. Where a lot of people were prepared for doom and gloom, but, they have their financial situation going on over there, and it's unfortunate. The state needs to step up and start doing their thing.
John, I'd like to mention, if I can, I'd like to send my thoughts and prayers out to the family of State Representative Flo Fabrizio. I think most people in the community know that Flo has been fighting cancer, and Flo's a fighter.
Yeah.
He's fought all his life for his family, for his community, and he's not doing well. And certainly to Vicky and Matt and Tony.
Yeah.
I
All good people.
Yeah, want them to know that the entire community's thoughts and prayers, particularly my family, are with them.
Yeah.
I love Flo.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody a better gentleman
Yeah,
than Flo Fabrizio.
I agree.
Just a great guy.
You know, and Flo is not only loved here in Erie, but he's also loved and very well respected in Harrisburg,
Oh,
too.
across the state. You're absolutely right.
I mean, Flo is, he's a legend, you know, and he knows how to work across the aisle and, compromise, a couple terms that people aren't exactly using these days.
He's made a lot of good things happen for this community. He loves this community.
Yeah.
And just assume, we could talk all day about him. I think the world of him. And today I'm thinking about him.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I saw him, he was, it was taking a toll, but he still had his wits and he was smiling and just, how you doing, and greeting everybody, just regular Flo,
Absolutely. Always a gentleman.
Oh, always. I mean, he could be a leader and an example of what other state representatives could be like from this community. And we have that election coming up this year, and we'll have to see how that goes. But that's unfortunate about Flo,
Yeah.
because he's a really good guy. But if you guys want to call in, 870-1284. Let's talk about some of the other county stuff. We talk about city stuff here all the time. So let's, what are you guys working on over there at the county? Anything exciting or new, or what's going on over there?
Well, there's a lot of exciting things happening in the county, collaboration with the city. We've I think have a team of people that are working together well. One of the things that we have on our agenda to potentially pass tomorrow night is a process and new policies outlining a grant application for those people who have received funds from Erie County in the past, and for those people who may be interested in the future. It's something that's long overdue.
Yeah.
There's been some controversy that has happened, but I've said at many meetings with my colleagues, and we'll certainly say it here today, that the buck stops with county council and with the administration. I mean, it's our responsibility to make sure that we have the policies and procedures in place to ensure fiscal accountability and responsibility, and we're working towards doing that. I think when it's unveiled, people will see that it's a fair across the board process that's going to be put in place, and I think it's something that we'll be proud of in the community, and I've certainly been proud to work on it, and the citizens of our community will know that we continue to be there as fiduciary stewards of the taxpayers' money, and that we're looking out for it.
Again, we're watching, we're on Taxpayers Hotline here on the government channel. Are the people that are currently receiving grants, is everybody going to have to reapply when this process goes into ordinance, or how is that going to work?
Well, everybody will have to apply. So I don't want to say reapply, because that might infer that we're trying to go retroactive, but that's not what we're doing. The people that have already received funding for 2018, their funding is not at risk. What we're doing is putting this grant application in place beginning in the 2019 budget, so they will have to apply for funds, and we have a window that they'll have. This year it will probably go through September, but beginning in 2019, the grant cycle period will be from July 1 to July 31st. And the reason for that is because each department of the county has to submit their department's budget to the county executive, and then the county executive brings her budget to county council by October 1st to begin to work on it. So it's prepared by the end of the year.
Just in time. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I just came in and I heard somebody talking about the North Channel. You had a meeting of the Port Authority.
Well, no, it was at the South Pier.
Well, that's the North Pier.
Yeah, coming through the
Right.
what we call the South Pier, but
Well,
coming through the channel.
that's the North Pier's on the peninsula. South Pier's on the south side.
Right. So this was at the South
That's
Pier.
the South Pier.
Yeah.
Did you have some kind of meeting about some ship coming through or something?
Well, yeah. Well, not a meeting, but a press conference about CMI Energy Corporation brought in a cargo of raw materials, 13.1 million pounds, the largest in the history of Erie County's port. And so the ship is docked.
Well, that's for that new cable.
No, it's not for the cable. It's for, they take the raw material and recycle it and turn it into new energy. And so, they're using this raw material, and they put it through their filtering system in their plant, and eventually the material makes its way down to one of their facilities in Newcastle. So
But I remember as a kid, all kinds of boats came through their ships with loads of grain and coal and everything else, and there was never any problem. In fact, we went diving out there, and that area is a lot deeper than people think.
yeah, no question. But what we were saying earlier is from time to time, because of the sand, it needs to be dredged out and
Well, they always did that. In fact, St. George up the road there with the sand dogs, he used to do that constantly.
right. But this load is the heaviest single load that has come through. So, obviously there was concern as to,
Sure not.
to whether it could, get through the channel, which they had no problems with it. I mean, it worked out well.
Oh, no, there's never a problem. In fact, we even had some big steel freighters come through loaded, and then they put up through the winter.
Yeah, back in the
Yeah.
day, John, they had the grain elevators and stuff down there.
And they had lots of weight on them things.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But, it's good. It's sad to see all the businesses gone down there, and all we have is nonprofits eating up that choice properties.
Well, we've talked about that before. You can't have non-taxable entities on your most taxable property and expect to sustain a city's economy. I mean, nobody else that I know does that. I think that, with some of the new development going on, we were down there the other day, and the Nick Scott project is underway. They're digging holes down there, and
I've seen a lot of comments about him waiting for the CRIZ and everything else. And you know what? Why are they taking a shot at that gentleman who wants to put tax dollars into the coffers of the city and county?
I agree. I mean, we should be applauding them for making the investment in the community.
That's true. So, Kaz must be on vacation this week. I was going to ask a question. Maybe I'll bring it before you two men.
Okay.
I see that the city is finally going to have an ordinance of panhandling.
Okay.
And I see the two peas in the pod voted against it. And they think that it's hurting the homelessness. The homelessness aren't the ones that are coming in doing the panhandle. It's the scalpers that are doing the panhandling to make money and not report it. And I think city council should have passed that 7-zip. And those two seem to always be against something. And Liz Allen, one of the councilwomen, she always has more than enough to say in the negative of the city. I do not know how either one of them got voted. Maybe the people voted in, I should say. Maybe the people are just looking for change, like they're looking for change all over the country.
Right. I know. I think it did pass, though, 5-2, I believe, didn't it?
Yes.
Or 4-2, or Kaz was out of town or
Yeah, I
something
think
along that line.
4-2 it passed, I believe.
But we'll see what happens. I see them all over, and they seem to love 38th Street.
Yeah. Well, they always catch me at 38th and Liberty, you know, they all, or is it not, I'm sorry, Peach,
That one, and
by the
they
Y.
frequent up there, coming out of where Sam's Club is, and all those corners. And I'll tell you what, I followed one time, and he got into a brand new SUV that I can't even afford.
Well, see, John, there's a difference between, you know, giving people money. I won't give people money, but there's a lot of times where if I'll come out of the Plymouth or out of Park Place, or not Park Place, Dave's Diner and stuff like that, those places down there, and there'll be somebody sitting outside, and they'll ask me for some change or something, and I have, you know, stuff to take home. I've given it to them a lot of times. And I've done it too up on 38th and Peach.
Well, I stopped up at 38th and Pete's, and I told this one panhandler he would work for food. I said, I got a little work you could do at my house, and we'll give you food, and if you do what I want you to do, I'll even give you a few bucks.
Yeah, right.
He refused point blank.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of times, you know, you want to help the poor, and that, I mean, that's the only, you know, you do want to do that. But a lot of times, unfortunately, it's for drugs and alcohol. And that is a whole nother story, and it's a double-edged sword. I mean, I can understand where those two are coming from. You want to help people. You don't want to, you know, people, you know, they're poor, but some of them have made choices to put themselves in that position. And from what I understood, there was some very aggressive, dangerous panhandling going on.
There are. I even had some come up at me in the Wegmans parking lot saying they had run out of gas. Could I give them some money so that him and his wife and his kids could get back on the road? That's the first time I was approached like that.
Wow.
I mean, but if there's a way, there's a will, I guess. Notice I said if there's a way, there's a will, not the opposite way. The old saying, where there's a will, there's a way. I reversed that.
I was talking to one of the city councilmen, and I guess a woman had called him and said what they do is they follow her out of Mid-City Towers, and they wait because they know when it's check day, and they wait, and then they follow her over to the Family Dollar. And if she uses, if they see you using cash at the register, they ask you for money, and they kind of like, they're really aggressive. And if you use plastic, they leave you alone. But if they see you from the window, which makes sense,
And they're watching.
because I was up by the Warner watching this go on about a year ago, and it makes sense because they stand outside a Family Dollar and do that. Now that they mentioned that to me, it's a problem. So
Big problem all over, you know, even at the ATMs. They say there's a camera there. If someone is being approached at an ATM, all they have to do is push 999.
I thought if you pushed in your number backwards, your PIN code
Or if
backwards.
you push 999,
Oh, is that what it is?
it's down and the camera turns on. Well, the camera's on all the way.
Oh, okay.
But it gets like a red flag, and it's the whole thing here. So,
Yeah.
but it's a shame what we're going through all over.
Yeah, it is. It's unfortunate because Erie's downtown is a beautiful place. I don't care what anybody says.
I remember way back in the 50s and 60s, Saturday nights or Friday nights.
Yeah.
Saturday went up to about 5 o'clock, but it was a wonderful place.
Yeah.
Now nobody wants to come downtown because all you have is bars and eateries and everything else.
Yeah, I wish they had a movie theater and stuff down here. And
Yes, I remember when there was 5 of them downtown there.
Right.
I mean, I remember going to the Strand as a kid, but I don't think.
There was a Strand, the Columbia, the Colonial, the Warners.
The Majestic.
Oh, the Warner. I went to the Warner too. Yeah, I saw King Kong at the Warner. I remember that.
Yep. Well,
It was great.
What was the one across the street from the Strand?
The Majestic. Wasn't it the Majestic?
No, right across from the Strand on 10th Street.
Where the hotel is now.
The Shays.
Shays.
Yeah.
Shays Theater, yeah.
They had 3 floors. They had the top floor, the mezzanine, and everything else there. And I was up on the 3rd floor. I thought I was going to get a nosebleed.
I
You
remember.
could hardly see anything. But those are the good old days. You used to go for a quarter to go to them. In fact, in 1960, we hiked school and went to see Ocean's 11 at the Columbia.
Nice.
So, well, we'll let somebody else give you a call. It was
All right.
nice reminiscing.
If nobody calls, call back later if you want to chat.
All righty.
Okay, bye-bye. I remember as a kid, that's funny, he bred the Warner. Bruce Lee movies they used to play at the Warner.
Oh, yeah.
And we used to, or the Strand, the Strand. We used to come out, we used to like think we knew karate and we're like kicking each other, and oh, that was great. I miss those kind of days. You know, it just seems like, went down to the Roar on the Shore Saturday evening.
Successful weekend, in
Yeah.
spite of the rain on Saturday.
Well, it did rain a little bit, and
In the afternoon.
Yeah, and I went down there actually after it rained, and there was a pretty good crowd down there when I was down there after it rained. Some of them, I'm not a biker myself per se, but there were some really nice bikes down there, and a lot of them, they had them tricked out, and this one bike had the stereo. I had to put it on Facebook Live like we are now. It was like, I couldn't believe the stereo system inside this. It was a motorcycle. Usually a car you can get, the bass and everything like that, but it was amazing. This one guy was driving around. He had flames flying out of the back of it. It was really something else. I had a good time. People were, really kind. I didn't see anybody drunk and stupid and acting moronic. I saw some city elected officials. Winarski was down there, I saw. And yeah, it was a good time, and if they bring money into the economy, so. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, guys. I've been around here quite a while, and panhandling is not a new thing. When I was a kid, they were panhandling all over State Street, and some of them were violent. Matter of fact, I was with my friends down by the dock one time, and one dude pulled a knife out because we wouldn't give him money. Well, that didn't go over too well with him. But I was really surprised that the two women on council voted not to pass that resolution.
Right. Do you know what? Because usually they give a reason as to why they didn't vote for it. Do you know why? Did they say why? Do you know?
Did they say what?
What was their reason for voting no? Did they say?
Well, they felt sorry for these people. They're trying to earn a living.
Okay.
And, well, there's places for these homeless people to go. They're not, you see them walking all over the street, but there is places for them to go. There's places and programs that will get them, help them out, And for them two women on council to vote against that after a woman was brutally slashed in her face, that is sickening to me. And then not only that, but the one that rambles on, took a shot at Donald Trump.
Oh, really?
Wrong to do at the city councilman. I don't care who the hell the president was. She took a shot at the president. What the heck is wrong with her?
Yeah.
They are against everything. Everything that goes. And then the one gets a little smirk on her face because she voted no. Come on. You're true. And she goes, that one meeting, she reads the article out of a book she read. Well, at the committee report. Why do I care what book she read, and why is she going to read a couple paragraphs out of a book? Anyways, the panhandling, they say, is going on. Nobody wants to go downtown. I don't. And every time I go around there, you do get panhandled. Well, even you get panhandled all over the city. And one place I got panhandled was close to my house, and I was really surprised that it happened. So I park my car at a grocery store. I go in, and I see a couple people standing outside, one by the phone booth and a woman out there. And for some reason, it just hit in my head, I'm going to get panhandled. I don't know why I thought that. Well, they did. And I come out, and a woman comes over to my car. She said, hey, you got 37 cents so I can get a pack of cigarettes. And she had some change in her hand. I said, oh, you want a drink, don't you? Oh, no, I don't drink. I said, oh, darn. I said, I got a case of beer in the back. I was going to give you a beer, and I drove away. So, I know. Oh, yeah. They'll come and grab your door handle.
Oh, yeah. I had somebody ask me for $3 in front of my house yesterday. I'm sorry, about 3-4 days ago.
Yeah, they'll ask you. Oh, another guy. His famous line is, I've seen it. He approached me twice up on Upper State Street and once down on 18th. And his line was, I'm a preacher and I was just at the hospital giving last rites to a person, and I run out of gas and I need a couple gallons of diesel fuel. Well, diesel fuel is more than gasoline, so that's more money.
Right.
and he uses that line twice on me, for some reason or other. But anyway, that's all I got to say, and have a nice day, guys.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Right.
I mean,
There's always an interesting angle.
yeah. There's always,
Just when you thought you heard it all,
there's two sides to every story.
there's always something new.
It never fails. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
It really does, as you had said earlier, John, I think most people have compassion for the people that truly need help. They want to give people a hand up, not just a hand out.
Right.
But it's gotten to a point where you don't even know who really needs help and who's just there to scam.
I mean, but unfortunately, a lot of times drugs and alcohol.
Right, drugs and alcohol is a major player
Well, you get,
in that.
the three main causes of homelessness: drugs, alcohol, mental health issues. Uno, dos, tres. You can put them in any other order.
Right.
Other than that, but the mentally ill. They don't. I don't want to say there isn't services, because there are services, but a lot of times they don't take advantage of them.
Right.
They don't take their medication like they're supposed to, or they slip through the cracks, or they may take their antipsychotic medicine, but then they're boozing up on the side. You mix those two, you're not thinking straight, and they're not thinking straight to begin with, unfortunately.
And many times there are services available for those people.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to get them, or
Yeah.
they get lost in the cracks, and or many of them unfortunately spend their money on, as you said, drugs and alcohol, and they have no place to live because they spend their rent money, that they could have to have a decent place to live, and they spend that first on drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where I've offered people food and they didn't want it. It's like, no thanks. And I'm like, wow, okay. That's a clear sign that it's drugs and alcohol. So I kind of remember their faces, because you kind of get familiar with them after a while, because they're the same people that come to the same spots. But if they take food from me one time, then, but then again, if it's a double-edged sword. You want to help them, but then again, is that what you want outside of a downtown business establishment? That's, they moved the bus stops off State Street. They're doing all kinds of different things. We have the Innovative District coming. We have the EDDC doing their thing. We have the Scott Enterprise doing their thing. Hammett's doing their thing. Everybody's growing and expanding to make Erie better, providing jobs and different opportunities.
There are some good and exciting things happening in the community.
Yeah, we've
But
been.
it's not going to happen overnight.
No, it like we said, it took 100 years to really screw things up. It's going to take, well, we'll give it 20 years. It won't be in our lifetimes. Our kids will benefit. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I would like to. I want to voice a complaint about the overgrown bushes in front of the Jefferson Elementary School on 38th Street. The bushes have grown so big they are covering the front entrance, and I am concerned that it is a fire hazard for the students because they cannot get out the door.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
A friend of ours is.
We'll have to make sure we let them know at the school district.
Yeah,
They need
we'll have
get
to let them know.
A crew over there.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's not good. I was walking my dog the other day, and it looks like you can't even get out of there.
Yeah.
No?
Unfortunately, they've probably had to cut down on some of their expenses too over there, because they got a babysitter watching them over there too.
Yeah. The grass is fine. It looks like they're mowing the grass good.
Right.
It's just the branches that need to be cut.
Right.
So, all right, thanks.
We'll make sure we make a call over there. And
Actually, a lot more people watch this show in the city that people think, so I'm sure they'll get the message. They might already have it, because they probably watch it at the school district building. So, all right. Thanks for calling, bud. The county thing's going on. I know that you've worked, you're working on this situation, but what's going on with the new voting machines? I mean, where are we at with that? Because, I mean, that's big bucks. Big bucks. And, you know, everybody wants paper, you know, everybody's afraid that Putin's going to, like, trick everybody again. And so, I mean, what is going on with that, and where do we stand?
Well, I would say, first of all, that in Pennsylvania, and particularly in Erie County, I don't think that we have, with the types of voting machines that we've used and are certified through the state, I don't think we have concerns as to in any voter fraud.
Hold on one second, caller, please. Go ahead.
In any voter fraud that's taken place, and particularly in Erie County, we have no reports of voter fraud or any type of tampering with the voting machines.
Hold that thought. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think possibly if we have community benefit agreements in place and we start getting people downtown jobs, you're going to see a reduction in any kind of panhandling. Or maybe a local guaranteed income or state or national guaranteed income. Those would be two other...
Well, I know Carl, you championed something. Oh, he was working with Andre about something over at the county. You want to comment on that?
Well, I'm not going to say that I championed it, certainly on.
Well, he did, but weren't you guys all working
Horton,
together?
Yeah, Andre Horton put forth a resolution to have a community benefits agreement, which we did pass and send down to the state, and I did work with Andre on that, and we had sent that down to the state, that anybody who's receiving RCAP funds should have to enter into a community benefits agreement.
What's an RCAP fund?
Well, the RCAP is the statewide capital fund. Essentially, it's a fund that is set aside for large-scale projects.
Does that answer your question, caller?
I mean, it's a good start.
Yeah, it's a
keep
start.
doing. Let's pick up on things like that, and maybe not do any of the LERTA stuff. I mean, I don't see that benefiting the people that are panhandling downtown. I just see that benefiting businesses downtown.
Well, actually, I kind of disagree with you on that. I think it will benefit everybody in general in the long term, but it has to be done. And Carl, go take it away on that one.
Well, I mean, we're trying to work on something, and I would agree with the caller in saying that we can't benefit one segment of the community while hurting the other.
And that's absolutely correct.
It's got to be a fair balance.
It's got to benefit the taxpayers
It's got to benefit
that are flipping the bill
right
until everybody can start pitching in again.
The downside to not doing a LERTA and not getting economic development into the community is a continual shrinking tax base, which hurts all of us.
Right, but for the last year or two, there's been talk of, millions and billions of money coming into the city and then all these development projects. So if these development projects are already scheduled, what's the point of giving tax breaks to people that are already planning on doing this development anyway?
Well, they won't get a tax break.
And the LERTA is...
LERTA comes into effect when you take out your building permit. So for these projects that are already underway, they're not going to benefit from a LERTA. The only what will happen is the money that they're investing already, there's continual plans to do further investment in the city, and rather than doing those on a smaller scale, having a LERTA gives those people the incentive to do them on a larger scale, as they're doing now. So, I don't want to point any one particular group out, because this isn't, I'm just theoretically saying this, but, the $135 million project that Erie Insurance is doing, they're doing that under the LERTA that exists now in the city, not a new LERTA program, and so there is a LERTA program in the city already, and it's a 90, 80, 70, 60 program for each year out to 10 years.
Caller, let's say if like the Scott project, they're going to be creating a lot of jobs down there. So the people, you mentioned the panhandlers, those are the type of people that could fill those jobs to help alleviate some of that problem. Nobody is racing down to the bayfront to develop it, unfortunately. Nobody wants to give anything away for free. I don't want to pay more for somebody else to get something for free. Because, the rich are going to get richer no matter. But here's the thing about the Scott development. Number one, they're going to pay taxes, okay? And number two, the Scott family lives locally. So their money is being fed back into the economy, whether it's through jobs, them purchasing things, taxes. There's all kinds of ways that they feed. A lot of people complain about working for them and this and that, or this or that, whatever. But nobody's racing down there to develop anything. The GAF site's been sitting there forever. The East Dobbins Landing, I was down there a month ago, and I tell you, it was beautiful down there. And there's a lot of people down there, and I saw a lot of money that could be made from developments down there. But nobody's racing down there to do anything. So you get to a point where, and I know you guys are working it to where the taxpayers are protected against some of the negative things that have happened in the past. So that's what
Yeah, well, so I've started to say that the big issue is that we can no longer just give it away for free. There has to be, the elected officials have to work together to create some accountability and responsibility to the developer and some restrictions on the developer as much as there is on the average citizen. What most people don't understand in the LERTA program, the LERTA program is generally created to infuse a community with economic development, with larger projects, because it's only the improvements to a property that are getting the tax abatement. It's not existing property. So my property, I can't ask for or apply for in my residence to get a LERTA because I already have the existing structure.
Right.
And if I do improvements to my property, let's say I add a garage or a front porch, it's only that portion of the property that's going to be eligible for the LERTA abatement.
Then after 10 years, you have to pay taxes on it.
Then you pay taxes on
And
that.
then not only that, it creates the jobs for people to build that stuff.
Well, that's true, but the point is, it's not necessarily designated a tax benefit for residential people, unless you're building a new home.
Right.
From the ground. You're not, the potential benefit that you would get from a LERTA as a residential taxpayer is minimal.
Right.
But when a business comes in and invests in the community and they get a tax break up front to come in and make that investment, as a community, we're investing in the future because down the road, we're going to have those additional tax dollars that are being paid once their new building on the property has been assessed, which then helps alleviate all of us.
Shouldn't we lock them in then? And if they decide to close up shop and abandon Erie in 10 years, they should pay a penalty, maybe something attached like that to the LERTA would at least give us some insurance that if we're going to give them something, they're not getting out of it scot-free, no pun intended.
You're talking to the guy that proposed that, so
Carl's, yeah.
Absolutely.
Carl's the one who's representing the county on the LERTA, and he is a very big proponent of that. And that's one thing that he and I have always talked about and stressed is once these people use their 10-year LERTA and they pack up and leave us taxpayers sitting there holding the bag, no more.
Right, so that's the difference in what I'm talking about that we're working towards this time is, and there's agreement there's some agreement within the county, within the city, within the school district, that we have to make sure that we have some of those hooks or penalties or incentives, whatever somebody wants to call them, that at the end of the 10 years, if we're saying to a project that's coming in now, we want your business here, we're going to give you a benefit for you to come and build your business here. The responsibility of that business is they're saying to us, we're going to make a long-term commitment to your community and we're going to be here long after the LRTA. That's the only way it works. Yeah. It's got to benefit both ends.
Caller, we've seen the statistics for LRTA. They do benefit the community, but as Carl just said, it's got to be structured properly where not only the business benefits, but the citizens, we as a whole, also see the fruits of that, that action. So.
Well, and again, the more we give, the more we should get back as well. And so, I mean, guaranteed living wages and maybe job training for some of the opportunities that'll be coming for local people.
Well, that's where.
Yeah, exactly. All of that is on the table for as part of the discussion.
Yeah.
So it's not going to go unanswered with people. We want the businesses here. We want the economic development, but we want to hold them accountable. The elected officials have to be accountable to the people. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Erie. I'm committed to the city of Erie. And I have an inherent interest in wanting to make sure that the city of Erie succeeds and that their taxes are fair across the board. I'm a property owner too, and for each time we continuously raise the taxes on the backs of the residential property owner, they're going to continue to abandon the city and move out because their property values, as the taxes increase, the property values are going to go down, and it's going to be harder and harder for people to sell their homes.
What we have now is we have the city. I think we've got the innovative district for high-tech jobs. We have the EDDC for residential and commercial development. I think we need to start using that LRTA for a lot more industrial type development as well. And I don't really hear too much about that because other than the innovative district, family sustaining jobs, that's what we need. So, I mean, we have, the parks, the industrial parks to do it. I think we need to put more effort, whether it's city, county, joint efforts for more industrial, family sustaining jobs. And it all correlates in together. But see, caller, one of the problems with Erie is we have a problem. You have to spend a little money to make a lot of money. And we made that big mistake with the casino in my decision many years ago. I used to watch the show and say, what are we doing? Spend a little money. We make a lot. I mean, Carl will tell you how much of a windfall we would have on that situation. But, hindsight's 20/20. So anything?
The other thing I want to mention to the caller, which I think he would appreciate, is one of the other things that I talked about being involved in other projects in the community and when I campaigned, and I'm going to continue to work on this, is the people who are making the money from the tax dollars that are being spent should be making the investment in the community.
Right.
And that goes for the employees of the city, the employees of the school district, the employees of county government. They should be making investments in the community. And what I mean by that is they should be paying taxes and living in the areas that they're drawing their paycheck from.
Yeah.
Now, the problem that we have now is 25 years ago or whatever, the state decided, the Supreme Court decided that because we used to have a requirement that you had to live in the city of Erie.
Right.
They decided that you no longer needed to have that requirement. It has to be within 15 miles of the city of Erie.
Yeah.
So everybody that's making the money, particularly the top level management positions, all abandoned the city and moved out into the county. Yet they're taking the tax dollars from the school district, from the city, from the county, and they're taking them right out of the community area that they're supposed to be benefiting. So I've proposed that, because of course it would be unconstitutional for us to force them to do that now. We couldn't put in a policy to make them live in the city of Erie or a particular community, but we can create incentives to get them back into the community. For example, newly hired police officers or firemen, we could give them incentives through the redevelopment authority properties.
The land bank money?
Through the land bank that we're developing, through properties that are acquired through there. We could give them a 10% break on their property taxes. We have to sit down and think it through, but there's incentives that we could come up with to get them to come back into the city and invest back into the neighborhoods.
I mean, that's very important, because the busiest roads at 4:30 and 8:30 in the morning is the Bayfront Highway, because they come out of the good-paying jobs and they roll out to the county. You still there, caller?
Yep.
Anything else you'd like to add today?
We're good. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks. A lot of people, they don't want the LRTA on the Bayfront. That's a very touchy subject with some people. And I mean, I don't like giving away money too. I mean, personally, I think, we've talked about it 1,000 times. We don't use our natural resources the way they should be used. I mean, we have water, and we don't even it's a natural resource. We don't have, and it's free, and there's lots of it. There's something else that goes along with that statement too, free and lots of it, but we don't use it. I mean, that, and that, what I talked about a minute ago is about the industrial aspect of the development of the city. That is a major part of it, and I don't really hear that.
Well, we talked about this 6 months ago.
Yeah.
With Kaz when we were on the show.
Yeah, we talked about
It boggles my mind that we lost Zern Industries to a place in Wisconsin because of water.
Well, they started that water tech zone.
Well, they started a water district.
Yeah,
and,
so I mean, that is...
And they approached Erie County officials.
Yeah, they did.
Several years before they left and said, hey, if you create a water district, we'd like to be your anchor tenant. We'll stay here.
Yeah.
We'll build a new headquarters, et cetera, et cetera. And it fell on deaf ears.
I see it on the news and on social media and all the time. There's droughts everywhere in the United States, and out west, down south. They have no water. That's the one thing that we have here.
It's the main thing we have.
We don't utilize it. I mean, Kaz and I, we talk about that a lot. And when you were on the show, we talked about that a lot. I mean, you would, instead of giving somebody free land, like, the free LRTA, here's water. I mean, it doesn't cost us anymore. Taxpayers, they're not paying the bill. They're not flipping for the LRTA till it comes to fruition. The whole industrial aspect, but then again, as we both know, the trade jobs, these manufacturing positions, those guys are getting older. Talk about that for a minute. Expand on that.
Well, manufacturing employs about 25,000 people in Erie County.
Yeah.
And we have a very, very strong manufacturing segment in our community. But 50% of all the people employed in manufacturing will be retiring in the next 10 years. And there's nobody trained with the skills available to take those jobs. Mm-hmm. That's one of the main reasons why we need a community college.
What's his name? Whatchamacallit? Closed.
Yeah, we need to create an atmosphere to train the positions to keep those businesses here. And the businesses in manufacturing, they're sitting down and having discussions of what is our business model going to look like in 10, 20 years from now? Where are we going to be? How are we going to stay in business?
Yeah.
If the employees are not here in Erie County, Pennsylvania to do that, these manufacturing companies are going to move out of the region.
You can build condos, you can build mixed-use facilities, but if nobody has any money to frequent these things, it's a no-win situation. The industrial aspect of it, it needs to be addressed.
And the trades, I mean, any young person out there today who says, college is not for me. I'm not a bookworm.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sitting in a classroom. I like using my hands.
You know the saying.
The trades all of the trades are begging for people.
Plumbers, carpenters, electricians. We know these unions, we know them, and where they're falling apart because they don't have 1 minute. They don't have enough people to fill the positions. So, I've talked to them about this program that I'm trying to work between these two entities, the school district and the trade unions, to get things going. Carl's part of the community college. Well, you had to resign. Weren't you on the board?
Well, I was on Empower Erie, but now being on county council, I'm no longer on the board. But
you can't do both.
Strong supporter of
for sure.
the concept of the community college.
Yeah, it's very important that we have one of those. And it has to be done the right way because there's a Democrat and Republican way of doing things. And if we had another 20 minutes, we would get into that, but we don't.
But we have to do it in a nonpartisan way and make sure it works.
Absolutely.
The one thing I will say to you about the people in trade, it's more than just having people here that need jobs.
Yeah.
People have to be willing to do one 4-letter word very good, and that's work.
Yeah.
We got to have, the young people have got to have a work ethic. And I tell you, if I had to do it all over again, I'd like to be like H. Jack Langer. He makes a lot of money. You can make a great career.
There's none out there anymore. He's like almost got there's very few plumbers. And the younger generation, they think everything is computer. They're saying the world doesn't have enough ditch diggers, and it's true. At one point, that's all we had were ditch diggers.
Well, and that's what I'm saying out there to the young people right now.
Yeah.
If college isn't for you, look to the trades.
And even if
I think those are going to be very good paying jobs in the future.
And even
because fewer and fewer people are willing to do them.
And that means the prices of any development, the plumbing, the electrical aspect will go up because there's not, that's where the community college comes in or the trade schools, but it has to be addressed sometime in the future. But Carl, thanks for showing up. And the people watching on Facebook, I don't even know if we've taped that properly, but anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
Well, John, it's a pleasure being here with you today and having a chance to talk about some of the things that are happening over across the park in Erie County. And as I said earlier, I feel very good about the collaboration with my colleagues in the city. Mm-hmm. And I think we're all rowing in the same direction, and we need to because it's about what's going to happen to the community and how we're going to shape it. But I'm excited to be a part of it, and I think we still have some work to do, but we're willing to roll up our sleeves and make it happen.
Well, the fact that you guys are rolling from across the street over here to talk like we are right now, it speaks volumes as to where we're headed as a community. City, county, school district, business, industrial, innovation, working together. Carl, thanks for coming. Thanks for tuning in to Taxpayers Hotline here on the Government Channel. And Mike, whenever you're ready, hit the music. Do it.
You have been watching Taxpayers Hotline, recorded live from the fabulous city of Erie, Pennsylvania.